Are you in, Megan? Yo, can you request to share so I can make sure you have it right now?
As host isn't allowing.
Okay.
Can you make me a host or co-host?
Yeah, I should be able to. I'm gonna start letting people in. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Just so we don't lose them.
Pat Lana.
Hey everybody, we're gonna be letting everybody in and getting started soon. Let me see here.
What's up, everybody?
All right, Megan, you should be able to share now.
Okay.
We'll just get started in 1 minute.
Is it pouring rain where everybody is?
Is it pouring right now?
Yeah.
Yes, coming down pretty hard without me.
I'm in the office. It's just dark. So, well, Megan, we can get started here. Let me make sure I'm recording this.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of people that asked.
Yeah. Sweet. It should be now. Cool. It's recording. All right, Megan. Well, thanks for having us on. I know we're going to be going over CalHFA. I'm super excited for this because this program has been great every time it's come around. Even the last 2.5 years, it's been phenomenal, and the perks are insane. And Megan and I and the team were talking about it, and we wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to learn about it. So Megan put this together so that way you guys can see what it is, and we can look at what your opportunities are. So with no further ado, Megan, have at it.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. So yeah, if I don't know you, I'm Megan Sawamura. I am mortgage advisor with Neo Home Loans. I've been doing loans for whatever. I'm trying to say this. I'm like, it makes me feel older. For like 14 years now. I've been partnered with CalHFA for probably that entire time. I've always been trying to find creative ways to utilize programs, and this is by far one of the best that CalHFA has offered, and probably the best down payment assistance program I've seen out there. So this is, like Andrew said, the third year that they've done it, and we're going to get into a little bit of the details, and I'll have some time for some questions at the end. I did put this slide together for you, Andrew, but I could just talk about it. Why this is important right now is because there is a huge affordability gap in California, and this is CalHFA is just for the state of California. It's obviously one of the most expensive areas to live. I'm sure most of you, if you're on this call, you all live here, or probably San Diego in general. But right now, the down payment is probably the biggest barrier to entry. And a lot of people still think that you need 20% down, but just saving up 20%, especially on the prices in California, is difficult, right? So this program will be able to help you create leverage. It's where the state is actually acting as an investor with the buyer. So they're believing in California as a whole, as a real estate economy. They know that the values are going to go up. So they are taking part in this as quote unquote an investor, which I love about this program. And what I think is going to happen is just, it's going to bring more competition, which we already have a lack of inventory. So leading to higher prices. So they believe that prices will still be going up. So yeah, just a great program. And I think it's super important right now because there is such a big affordability gap, especially with interest rates rising higher than they have been in the past few years. So basics of the program, it's a 20% down payment assistance program, but you don't pay any interest on it and you don't make any payments on it. And what it essentially is, it's a silent second mortgage. So you're going to get your first loan, traditional conventional loan, and the second mortgage, this 20% down, gets placed behind that first mortgage on title, but we call it a silent second because you're not making any payments on it. Other types of second mortgages are like home equity lines of credit, second loans, things like that. Sometimes if you're get liens on your property or contractor liens, things like that, go behind that first mortgage. This is a silent second mortgage. You make no payments on it. And what happens, and I'll go into this a little bit more, is that when you sell the property, you share in the appreciation gain. So when you pay back that loan, you pay a portion of it as well back to the state of California. There is a limit of 20% down or up to 150,000. So if we kind of go backwards on that, it's going to be like around that 700,000 price range, but you can also put more down if you'd like. So basics of the program, it's great. Majority of down payment assistance programs are silent second mortgages. It's a matter of how you're repaying it or what people ask, or like, what's the catch on it? You definitely have to pay it back. You also have to pay a portion of the appreciation back, but there's so many other programs out there I've seen that offer you 20% down, but then take a huge percentage off of what you get back from the property. So this is by far one of the best. I don't know if someone's watching the waiting room too. I'm letting people in, but if someone else could do that, cheat codes. So who this program is for, you have to qualify as a first-time buyer and a first-generation buyer. Now, this is a newer thing that happened last year. The first round of this was just first-time home buyers, but the money ran out so fast that they made it a little bit harder to qualify. So first-time buyer and a first-generation buyer. If you're two people on the loan, a couple, only one person has to qualify. So you do have to be a first-time buyer and a first-generation buyer. It's great for people who have really good income and credit, but not so much on the savings side. And for people who are going to be in the property for at least 2 years. And I'll explain a little bit more about why that's important in a later slide. So as long as you're a first gen buyer, that means your parents cannot own property. Actually, I have a slide on this. What does first gen mean? So your parents have not owned property in the US. That's the only way they can track it. If they own property overseas, there's no really way for them to look that up public record wise. And at least one borrower must qualify. So you can have somebody on the loan whose parents do have a house. If the other person's parents don't, then you should be good to go. You both have to be first-time buyers. So now one thing they are cracking down more on this year is that proof of parent relationship. So you're both going to have to sign a written affidavit and certification saying that. So you're making sure that you're not lying on paper, and that's one of the things that they're going to require. You're also going to have to show a birth certificate to show who your parents are. And I believe that they're going to start looking up based off a public record if they own homes. If your parents are deceased, they're going to require like a death certificate to show that. And then if you were adopted, they're going to ask for adoption paperwork. Now, the part that gets a little tricky is if you aren't in communication with your parents, then I think it'd probably be a case by case basis, but it's going to be a little bit more complicated to document that and show that you truly are a first generation home buyer. So here's the fun stuff. Here's how it works. And this is a little complicated looking, but I'm going to walk you guys through it. So this example is a home purchase price of 640,000. Oh, sorry, it's 500,000. We're going to start this one. 500,000, keep it simple. So your first mortgage is 400 and the down payment assistance at 20% down is 100,000. So we're going to keep it easy numbers. Let's say 5 years later, that home appreciates in value and it's now worth 640,000. So that appreciation number is the number between what you paid for the property and what the property is valued at now. So 140,000 of appreciation. So the state of California, CalHFA, you're going to pay back 20% of that 140,000. So you're going to pay back $28,000 of that, and then 112 will be what you'll be able to take back. Now you still have to pay back that loan, which the original loan was 100,000. So now you're paying back the down payment assistance loan of 100 plus that 28,000 of appreciation. So yeah, you still have that $100,000 loan, but that is in addition to that 140 that you've gotten. So you're still walking away with that 112. In addition, you're also paying that mortgage down at the same time. So having that smaller loan amount versus if you were to only put like say 5% down on this property, you're paying way more to the principal every month. So 5 years later goes by, you've paid $30,000 down to the principal. So when you go to sell that property, you're getting more of that back. So you're actually getting that equity in addition to that appreciation, right? Because there's two ways to make money on that. You're paying the loan down as the value is going up. All right, this is a little blurry. So there is a max cap of what um, is what is paid back on that shared appreciation limit. That's 2.5 times the original loan amount. I put this slide in because just goes to show if you do save or do keep the property for a while, you can go up to quite a bit of equity that you're gaining on that appreciation. So for this one was the original, same example, original purchase price 500,000, down payment assistance loan 100,000. That's staying at that same amount that whole time. It's not accruing interest at all. So say the future value of this property is 1.75. Your appreciation gain is 1.25. So 20% is 250,000. Original loan 100,000. You're going to be able to keep that $1 million. So that's kind of the max cap. I don't think someone would be staying in this property for that long. And you can also refinance this loan too and pay it off. So there's different ways to get out of it so you can obtain that total amount, but there really is no reason to do that. It's just simply sitting there again, zero interest on it. It's just that shared appreciation part. Who knows, maybe values will go up crazier in the future. So some of the key updates for 2026. Like I said, this, and Andrew had mentioned too, this has gone on for the past 2.5 years. This is the third round of it. And every year there's been a few different changes of it. And every year it gets to be a little bit stricter because, I mean, obviously this is a great program. So the more people find out about it, the more people are going to take advantage of it. So it's approximately $255 million, and that's going to cover the entire state. They said in the past that it was kind of spread out so that it wasn't like a majority of people were going to be in like the bigger cities. So I do think they're spreading some of that funding out, but it's actually a lottery-based selection process. So it's not first come, first serve. However, I was talking to another colleague that's in one of my mortgage groups up in the Bay Area, and he was saying that someone had recently got a voucher from last time around. So once you get your voucher, if you don't use it in time, it will go to the next person. So there is a chance that you can get it if you don't get it during that first round, but I don't think that should be a reason to wait. But again, I did hear that they're still getting vouchers and people not being able to utilize it in time. So the registration date this time, last year it was actually later in the year. This time it's going to be February 24th. So that's when the registration opens, and they're going to close that portal on March 16th. So it's very imperative that if you are interested, you do register during that short window. And I think based off of the funding amount, it's going to be about 2,000 families that will be able to receive vouchers on that. Again, the first generation documentation is going to be stricter. So if you're interested, start gathering that information now. I know, I don't think I know even where I would find my birth certificate. So just gathering that documentation ahead of time and being prepared for that registration day is going to be super important because it does go by fast. And then income limit. So this is something interesting about this program that is different than any of the other down payment assistance programs I've seen is it doesn't matter what your household size is. So it could be a 1 person, 2 people, you could have 5 people in your family. The income limit doesn't change. It does vary by county, however, but if you can see here, the income limit's pretty high. So for San Diego County, I put just a few other surrounding counties. Obviously, Riverside's a little bit less expensive than San Diego and Orange County, so their income limit is less, but it does vary by county, and it's 120% of the AMI, so area median income. They haven't released the 2026 numbers yet, but it should be similar to 2025. So I'm just going off of that. It's probably going to be slightly higher, but I think this still gives you enough wiggle room to qualify. And again, the household side doesn't matter. And then one other thing to note that if your income is over the 80% AMI, when you go to sell, that state receives 20% of that appreciation. But if you're pretty high too, you're only going to pay back 15% of that appreciation on top of that. So it's kind of tiered on that 80% number to how much you're going to pay back. Oh, on this note too, I just want to mention in the past, what we've done is they only care about your income to qualify. So sometimes people will get like bonuses over time, but it's not consistent. If we don't use that in your qualification or don't need it to qualify, then I can just use like your base income. Sometimes income is inconsistent. We can't prove it. You may be lucky and be able to be under that threshold. I do like to share this slide too, because obviously this is based off of appreciation. It's a shared appreciation down payment assistance. But as you can see, this is for San Diego County, and the forecasted appreciation over the next 5 years, say, and based off of the median household income, affordability, all kinds of good stuff here. But what I love is that last year when I made this slide, because I did this, I double checked, the median price we were looking at was 956. And this year it's $1,020,000. So even in 1 year, we're seeing that median price go up, as well as with that historical appreciation average. Obviously, in the past, it's been a little bit higher. Sorry about that. But we're still forecasting over 5% a year. So like I said in that beginning, I think it makes sense to, as long as you're going to keep the property for at least a couple years, then it does make sense to move forward with a type of program like this. Also, look at this affordability index. You can kind of tell how much less affordable San Diego has gotten in the most recent years compared to before. So here is a breakdown for all my number people. Loan options. I just based it off of a $650,000 purchase price, and a traditional conventional loan of putting 5% down. Now I put a couple other options too, because CalHFA does have a wide variety of down payment assistance options that we can look at if you don't get chosen for Dream for All. So I just wanted to kind of show you the difference of that, and that there are some other options too, but how much more beneficial this Dream for All is if you can get it. So with this first option here, I just have a traditional conventional loan, no down payment assistance. Say you put down 5%, that's kind of traditional for first time buyers. Interest rate 5.875, so you're slightly lower, but your principal and interest and cash to close here. This is your down payment plus, say, closing costs, prepaid taxes, insurance, and whatnot. So you're at probably like $55,000 for a $650,000 purchase price. CalHFA does have what's called My Home, and this option is a 3% down payment assistance. So 3 versus 20 is already a big difference, but they also, it's a silent second, but it's a 1% interest rate. So this anyone can get. It's not a lottery system. We just apply. So we can actually get that today for you if you were interested in moving forward with something. But again, it's a silent second, so it's similar. You just pay 1% interest on that 3% down payment loan that you're getting. So that goes behind your first mortgage, and then you just pay that back once you pay or sell or refinance the house. So that's the one that's accruing a little bit of interest. Obviously, 1% is still great, but it's not 0% like this Dream for All. In addition to My Home, they also offer what we call ZIP, zero interest rate percentage, which is another down payment assistance. So on top of your 3%, you're also getting 2% with a 0% interest. So that's a no-brainer if you are. The only thing you can look at, the difference is you're paying a little higher interest rate. And the cool thing about CalHFA is that they set their rate no matter what your credit is, how much you're putting down. They just have set rates for the day. So you can actually go online and Google CalHFA interest rates. They'll give you the rates for the day. There's a slightly lower rate if you're under that 80% AMI amount. But one thing about interest rates is they're all typically based off of levels of risk. So if you have lower credit, typically your interest rate is going to be higher on a traditional conventional loan. If you're buying a condo, for some reason, there's more delinquencies on condos versus houses. So your interest rate's slightly higher. The cool thing about CalHFA is you can just get whatever interest rate they get. And typically it's going to be better if you have lower credit or you're buying, like putting low down on a condo, which is typically going to give you the highest interest rate. You can just get that same interest rate that someone who had an 800 credit with 20% down is getting, because they just publish their rates daily. So it could go both ways. They could increase it, but traditionally they're going to be a little bit better than your traditional rates as well. And then here's that Dream for All option with that 20% down versus that 5% down. Your loan amount is significantly less, thus your payment is much lower as well. So really creating that affordability. And of course, your cash to close here, so you're just paying your closing costs, prepaids. They have a couple other fees that they charge as far as origination. So that's why some of these are a little bit higher than a traditional closing cost. But for what they're giving you, I think is definitely like a no-brainer. So what to do now? Today is February 19th, so you have 5 days. Which I would say if you're looking to do this, let's start now. Get in touch with whoever invited you to this and talk to a CalHFA approved lender. So we're approved with them. I've been approved with them for years, so we were very familiar with how they work. They have all these different portals and regulations and things like that that are different than a traditional conventional loan. So you would have to make sure whoever you're getting pre-approved with is CalHFA approved. Of course, I'm happy to help you with that too. But I'd say look at both options. So because you'll be surprised of what you can qualify for with the Dream program and then without the Dream. We also have options where we can do buy downs and whatnot to kind of help with affordability. So there are different things, and I definitely would advise looking at both options just in case you don't get chosen. And then you can also do this free Dream for All shared appreciation home buyer course ahead of time. This is a free one. This is what the certificate looks like, but you're going to have to get both the certified letter that I can give you once you're pre-approved, and then the certificate to upload to the portal, in addition to those other documents that I had mentioned for like your first time buyer, first generation buyer things that they're going to ask for to upload to. And then on February 24th, so if you're on this, I'll also provide the link. The portal's not open yet, but you'll have to create an account with CalHFA. And that's where you're going to register and upload that pre-approval letter I showed in the last slide. You're going to upload that certificate that you started that home education class, and then your documentation for your birth certificate, parents info, whatnot. This portal will close on March 16th. So again, it doesn't matter when you do it during that time. It's not first come, first serve, but make sure you get it in between those dates if you are interested. And then again, it's a lottery system. So if you are chosen, the next step would be to take a CalHFA home ownership education course, which is $100. There's two education courses you have to take. This is your traditional one that you do if you do any CalHFA products, and then you have to do the specific Dream for All one. And a lot of it's going to go through like what I talked about today, but they're going to require both of those. Make sure you're fully educated on what you're doing. And then once you get your voucher, you have 90 days to find a property with a realtor and open escrow. The good thing is if you're working with people like the real estate pro team, they can definitely find you something within that time frame. And if you're working with us on the lending side, we can close in 10 days on a property. So as long as you have that pre-approval done ahead of time, I wouldn't be too worried about finding the property because you have a good team behind you. And then if you're not selected, we can choose to move forward with a different down payment assistance program and have no time limit. You can also kind of wait it out and see if people aren't going to utilize their vouchers. I think what my colleague had said is very like unheard of. That was the first I've heard of it in the past 3 years of doing this. So I think that may be really rare that people will get the voucher, or maybe he just got like one of the last ones, but you could kind of see, and again, they may have this next year, they may not, we don't know, but definitely every year they're getting a little stricter. And then if you do take this and pay that $100, you can utilize this within the year. So it's not really a waste of money, but you could also just wait until you know for sure if you want to move forward or not. All right, that is everything I have. Did we want to
Thanks, Megan.
do questions?
Yeah, anybody have any questions? You can put them in the chat or you can unmute as well. Megan, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to find out more?
Well, oh, lovely. My QR code isn't loading, but I had a QR code on here. But I can, we'll send the recording out and I can put my contact info, but my email is down here too. My team, team@gemhometeam.com. Otherwise, my intention was to have you scan this QR code if you wanted to get in touch with me. So sorry about that. But yeah, you can shoot me an email, and then we can send the recap as well. I'll have all my contact info there.
Got it. And it's team at gemhometeam.com. So awesome.
I have two people monitoring that inbox, so it'd be faster than my personal one. So yeah, that's probably the best way.
Perfect.
Perfect. No questions.
Well, thank you. We'll send out a
you.
recording of this too to everybody here probably first thing in the morning, if not later tonight once it's uploaded. Oh, what happened? We got a question.
Oh,
So
I wasn't even looking at that.
from Koa. What happens in the event of asset depreciation? I assume we would only be on the hook for the initial second mortgage. What happens if you end up paying off the first mortgage? Then do you start paying off the silent second?
So yes, if it does go down, that means there would be no appreciation, right? You'd still be on the hook for both your first mortgage and your second mortgage, and that's what we call a short sale. So if the property is worth more than you owe, then you have to go to the bank to basically ask them if they would let you sell it for less than it's worth. So they would be taking the loss on it. Now, because that CalHFA lien is in second position, that first person, the first lien is always going to get paid first. So likely they're going to lose money, CalHFA. So I don't foresee that happening because you're still paying that first mortgage down too. That's why I said if you're holding the property for at least 2 years, even if the value goes down, you may not pay any additional appreciation, but you may not make any money off the sale either. But at least you're getting into something, you're still utilizing that first mortgage and paying that down. So you're only paying interest on that lower amount, which is obviously great. But I think that's why I think it's a great program because CalHFA wouldn't invest with you if they didn't believe that prices were going to go up. Right? I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Andrew, but I think that's why they're giving you 20% because they truly believe that they're going to make money on this too with you.
Yeah, no, I would agree that their intention is to get people into houses and make money off of it. And not one, having your loan paid down by this much is a huge benefit as you pay down principal, but two, not paying on this while you go through it and then just paying, they're giving you the down payment and you're only giving them the upside of that. And the rest of the loan is gaining you all that money and you get credit for that. That's a win to me. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things too, they're not taking that much. You're still getting the majority of the appreciation, but like look at what they're giving you. They're giving you, I mean, $150,000 and asking for no interest payments on it. So they're really believing in that future value, because there's like nothing really in it for them right now besides helping more people get into homes.
Well, and additionally, some of these programs used to have very heavily weighted time periods where you had a exuberant payoff.
Hmm.
And you would have all these different constraints on them, and this just does not have that. So from like the mortgage crisis, they came up with these programs that ended up being way worse for people. This
Hmm.
one seems to address all of those.
Yeah, I did one in the past. Well, I didn't do the loan, but I helped a client. They were buying a new property, but had to sell their property. And they were like in tears about how much they ended up having to pay back. So some of these older programs had balloon payments. So it was like they're selling their place, they're paying um, closing costs, commissions to sell it, and then they need the down payment for something else. But they didn't realize how much they were actually paid back to the down payment assistance when they first bought their place. So it was kind of a surprise. So this is one I like. It's very clear cut. If you work with us, we make sure that you know exactly what you're signing up for. And this one by far is one of the best programs I've seen.
Awesome. Thank you. And with that,
Perfect. No, I
we
don't think I
will
see
wrap
any other
this up.
questions. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Andrew and
Thank
Pete.
you.
Thanks, Meg.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Stay dry out there.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Oh boy.